Hello fans of Marvel heroes, this is a video on Iron Man, a very popular request thanks to the Age of Ultron movie, I think, because suddenly I've got quite a few requests on Iron Man, Captain America, as well as Hulk, and so on. So yeah, I mean, thank you for your request, and that kind of drive me to come off my shelf and say, well, okay, let's take a look at Iron Man again. And also, I'd like to dedicate this video to two of my friends, IVI and as well as Zep. Both of them are big, huge Iron Man fan and kind of inspire me to play my Iron Man. That kind of inspiration is kind of like a little bit contagious as well, because they keep talking about Iron Man with all the different costumes and so on. So yeah, so this is a Theiviaster costume. I just got it today, and I just could not resist. All right, and also I would love to support this game as well. I think you all should. This is a very nice game, free to play, and the costume are just beautiful. Look at this one here. I think. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit different, do something different in this video. I'm also going to just share with you my costume on Iron Man, because I too am a Iron Man fan, alright? So, the one that I really like is actually this one here. I got it from a fortune card. I think it's just so unique and so beautiful. This is one of the, what is it called? The stealth armor costume. I got it. I was really happy about it. It's free. And then those of you who has logged in quite some time ago may get this Age of Ultron inspired costume, which I think is pretty nice. It goes very nicely with my Theiviaster costume. All right. Then I've got this one from crafting. You know, I craft some of the you know, default costume, and I got one of these, and it looks, you know, it looks nice, yeah. And this one I think is either from a quote, I can't remember, or from the box that I've got free as well. I didn't buy all these things, all right. So this game has a lot of freebies if you keep playing, all right. Then I've got Heartbreaker as one of the code that you know, a long time ago they give up code to promote this game, and I'm fortunate enough to get one of the Heartbreaker one. I think you can buy it right now as well. Then I've crafted this one as well, which I also use sometimes. I find it's a little bit you know, cute and unique. And last but not least, this is the standard you know, costume, Iron Man costume, which I think is very decent. I mean, it is very iconic in a sense from Iron Man perspective. But today is all about this guy here. All right. Why should you play Iron Man? Iron Man, I think Iron Man is one of the most balanced hero I've seen so far lately. It's not too powerful. It's not very strong in terms of the defense or whatnot. I mean, it's still very strong, but it is pretty well balanced, I would say. I wish it's a little bit stronger, but I'm sure he will get his due reviews, you know, sometime in the future. He has a very nice build diversity. You can build him as a melee, which I'm going to do melee in this video. I may do a range in another video, alright? Because those are very different gearing options and so on. So I don't want to compress into one single video. You can also do the energy as well. I think energy is by far the more popular one. And then, you know, tech gadget, I look at my numbers, is as good as well. So I've gone through the numbers, and of the 3 single target spender or main spenders, I picked the melee build because it delivers the highest DPS, but also am aware that melee is in general harder in the cosmic petrol, but I built my Iron Man in such a way that it can survive. So you're looking at this my health level is 26,000. This is my DPS gear, right? So if I switch to my tanking gear, I'm having close to 31,000, all right? So it has a very comfortable margin, but still it drops quite fast. It's not as great as, say, She-Hulk, because I think what Iron Man is lacking is some kind of crowd control, like irresistible knockdown. You know, I use that from above. It is great. It has like a knockdown, but I wish that maybe the duration gets shortened a little bit. However, if it has like a irresistible knockdown, it will help a lot in Cosmic Patrol. That's my personal you know, opinion. If Gazillion is watching this, but yeah, I mean, I think by and large, Iron Man is great. All right, so what I'll do in this video, I'm going to walk through with you my melee build, all right, but I will do range build later in the future. I'll also show you something different this time. Is show you tips to sort of like to understand when you deal with hybrid class hero, be it as physical versus energy, melee versus ranged. Sometimes it's good to understand what is the ratio like. So when you do gearing, which sometimes you inevitably has to sacrifice an area, you know that how much penalty you're taking, and is it worth the kind of like penalty to it. All right, so I'll do that, something that's different from my rest of the video. And before I head out, just would like to just show you my build. And also if you look at my bar here, one of the things I really love about Iron Man is really simple to play. It doesn't have a lot of complexity and so on, and I can fit everything in the one toolbar, even the travel power as well. I can fit it in the one toolbar. I mean, how cool is that, right? I mean, this is really cool. But of course, I've got another cool bar for a toggle, but the toggles are like it's one time only. You can just like leave it as it is. There's no big deal. You don't need to play with the toggle anyway. So alright, so before I go on, I just want to take down my gears just in case you can't really stay on too long for this video, because I understand that my video tends to be a little bit long sometimes. Apologies. And I just want to cover all ground, because for some fans they may want to hear something that more detailed than others. So okay, so I got all my gear downs, and oops, I missed something, huh? I missed a ring. So here's my build. My build is very standard. When it comes to the melee build, I think I picked this as a spender. I cannot pick this one because it doesn't make sense to have two spender at the same time, because when you do this, you can't do that. What is a spender? A spender is one that you trade time for damage, all right? So you can't, it's nice to deal area here, but the penalty is quite a fair bit. I'll show you the number later for those who want to stay on. If you do melee build, then the death from above, it is not really great DPS. I don't mind the number here because all my gear is off. Looking at the cooldown and so on is not that fantastic, but having said that, there are many melee kind of like an impact kind of power, so I picked this one. And also the tech gadget goes really well with the melee side, because when it comes to tech gadget, I managed to squeeze in micro missiles. So for that from the above, there's actually an animation penalty to your spender. So I'll show you later on how this animation affect your spender when you calculate the overall damage over time, damage per second for your hero. All right. So this one is wonderful because it has a very, very short animation. I think it increased about 1 second per 16 seconds of a punch. So by and large, it's very, very minimal. So I have that. I have this one max as well because I need the kind of like a constant missile that keep dealing damage. And if I add up everything, as I put back the gear, actually it's quite good. Consider the fact that I don't need to do anything to just fire off the damage. And also this one give me the crit as well. So I think it's something that you really need to have in any case. Then I just put 1 point or 2 point life support system. This is mainly for your team buff, and the health regen item. I don't think is that's significant when you look at the number. If you put 20 points to it, because I need the 20 points somewhere else. All right. Jericho bombardment is something that I must have for 2 reasons. First of all, is vulnerability debuff. 10% debuff. 10% buff to your damage output is very desirable. And the second one is that it deals energy damage, because the rest of my power is at 1 off, of course, all physical. I'm having a hybrid build for my rank 70 legendary. The best is still power cosmic, but of course if I have enough Odimark, which I don't, rank 80, of course you pick a crystal. That become generic, doesn't matter what you do. But I mean, I picked this one. I max it, it's important. And then after that, 1 point to Arc Reactor Overload. This is mainly for you to restore spirit or suit power, sorry, for your Iron Man. So with this, your suit power shouldn't be an issue at all. Then I have the adaptive armor that, because I do melee, so this is very important to just max it. And also when I do melee tanking and so on, I actually toggle this one on, and yeah, I mean it's good. But then the thing is that as you take damage, you also your suit power drops as well, so it eats up quite fast, as you will see. The one off is great. It's actually okay. He has a very good, very great burst damage, but if you divide it overall, it's alright. I mean, it's not that. Yeah, I mean all signature has a long cooldown anyway, so whatever you do, you always divide the damage with the cooldown, because cooldown power and damage over time is the same thing. It's just in reverse. You get it beforehand or you get it over time. That's it. All right. Then this one art reactor is great because it converts your extra suit power times 3 become your damage rating, so it's great stuff. So this is what I have. Very extremely simple gameplay, and I have this jackboot flag as well. So if I put back my gear, it looks kind of like slightly better. All right, so yeah. And for this video, I'm not going to use this pad. I'm going to use the other pad, which is the +3 fighting. All right, and just in case you can't stay on through the rest of the video, because it's a hybrid, mine is a hybrid build. I use a dupe, power dupe. The rolls is okay, but I think you can get better if you have more patience and resource. And then this one is, I use Grim Reaper. I can show you the numbers later. Although it only buffed my physical damage, but because my physical to energy rate, the ratio is about 80-20. So 80% of my damage come from physical, 20% come from energy. And then the beautiful thing about Grim Reaper, again, is I'm using what I have. All right. So if you have something better, use it. But I always work within what I have. The great thing about the Grim Reaper is that if you recall my video on damage explain, damage is always normal damage multiplied by the crit and brutal components when it does its job. So on average, this one has both components to it. So whenever you see the both of them, it's great stuff because it multiplies, get better. So imagine, either 10% increase in one side, which is normal side, or 5% on either side. It's great because 5% on either side become 25% when you multiply them together. So I'll show you the mathematics later. So this one works best for me. But if you are pure, mostly energy, I presume you'll use pyro. All right. There's no point using the curse for melee because I thought about that as well. Curse is quite easy to farm because I farm curse all the time or used to. But my melee to range ratio is about 63% to 37%. So I take a more penalty on my melee, all the melee damage and crit and so on. So in the end, I decided not to use curse. I used this, Grim Reaper instead. Power Cosmic is for the legendary for my Iron Man, and I use the Overseer Mace. I'm fortunate enough to got it from a green rate, but you can totally craft this using 3 weeks of progress commendation, hero commendation, 3 weeks of cap, and you'll get it. All right, so it's go for it. So I have two costume. One is all the crit damage rating. Another one is all the health as well. So yeah, and so without further ado, I'm going to show you the action, and I'm very eager to see what this Theiviaster can do. All right, Iron Man in Cosmic Petrol, and faces a lot of bosses here, and there's quite a lot of them. So I'm going to use the ultimate here, and the ultimate looks like that. It costs a lot of suits here. So yeah, I mean it takes a lot of nerve to try to stand in the middle of all these bosses that I don't know whether I can see anything happen or not, but try not to get defeated here. It's actually quite hard because all these bosses, each of them is very very powerful, and I'm just counting the fact that the people around me are doing their job and correctly and so on. So I mean, all these are very hard bosses that to have as a melee, of course. I mean, but if you the thing is that if you take them out individually, you just waste a lot of people's time. So you tend to group them together, but that would means that it could be quite dangerous if you sometimes it's well, you can't really be careful. Sometimes it's just whether you're lucky or not, I think. But yeah, I mean, look at Iron Man in a group environment is actually doing quite okay. I would be more comfortable with She-Hulk in this kind of situation because I know that She-Hulk has a power that can you know, stun all these irresistible stun, all these super villain or any mobs on demand, and it's not a DPS loss if I don't use the power, unlike say death from above. All right, so yeah, I mean. Looks good. Looks good. I mean, you know, if you are getting a bit careful, make sure you're in a good environment. Like you have quite a lot of heroes doing the thing, and you know, it is possible to do Iron Man in Cosmic Patrol. You know, look at this one. His health is about 32,000. All right, so so I'm going to probably try something else to show you. All right. All right, Sinister 6. Let's see what this one. Okay, Dr. Octopus. Okay, it's a bit lag here, so sorry about that. And yeah. So I'm just face tanking the boss. If I don't see anybody here, so I mean some of his it does do a lockdown in a sense. Just trying to get away from all this motor. So but I mean, you know, look at I can. It's wonderful. I can really see what he's doing right now, because if I use the other costume, it's actually quite hard to see what's going on. So yeah, I can jump in and do a Jericho on him, and then get out on the motor, or do I need to? I don't know. Alright, so yeah, so someone is doing a signature. I think that may be so I mean, I'm just face tanking the whole thing, right? It's cool. Alright, so Jericho and then missile, you know, one off. Alright, that's his signature. That is pretty powerful. Then whenever the death from above is on cooldown, just do it. And whenever I have the I mean, okay, I mean the kill time is not that fantastic, mainly because I'm using a what is it, the health gear, alright? So but if I use something else, most likely it's easier as well. Yeah, it's taking a while, but it does show you how you know, how good it is in terms of the maybe I just eat the damage, right? I mean, you know, just don't want to move around, or maybe I should, I don't know. Alright, so almost there. Then after he's down, I can try to do other bosses as well. Alright. Okay, the one off, and I use the opportunity to pop my mech kit, get my spirit down, Jericho, and that's it. Bye bye. Alright, so that is one. Double unit plus power cube, so yeah. Alright, so let's see what's the next one. Where is the next one? Probably somewhere down south. And look at his animation, huh? Looks pretty cool, huh? So I'm getting there, and what's the next one here? Green Reaper or Rhino? Alright. Where's the rest of people? Wow, this is like I think it's, whoa, I'm getting pulled left, right, center. Whoa, get out. Yeah. Alright. Where's the rest of people? Maybe I should get the rest of people, huh? So the Electro is always a little bit hard when it comes to Electro, because and now I have to beware where the Rhino is charging, because yeah. Oh, we have Iceman here as well. So just be a little bit careful. That's all. Get away from his charging. Deal with Jericho on this guy. Missile out, and okay, get away from this guy. One off, then jump in and knock down, and Jericho in. Pop up my match. Ooh, wait. No. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, one down, two down. Wow, that hurts, yeah. Yeah, so this is the thing that I'm talking about when it comes to playing playing Iron Man. Is the is all this like you know, it does hurt quite a bit. You can feel it. You can feel it somehow. Okay, Iron Man versus Cosmic Curse, and the only thing that is in my way is the server. Going to come down very soon, so I'm hoping to be able to finish off this part of the video before it comes down, but I'll try to do it right. Just, you know, this is one off signature, everything dies, not surprising, as Iron Man, he is strong. He's actually strong, much stronger than I thought he is, yeah? But I seem to get the right gear, and I think in the past we don't really have that many options for slot 1, but I'm using the raid you know, unit to get his you know, melee build right. So I kind of like messed up the positioning a little bit. Alright, so that is the one side of it. Then I'm going to come to this side, maybe just kill off this guy. See, one jump, everything dies. Wonderful, isn't it? Alright, so I try not to use my signature, save it for curse. I probably need it. Right. So yeah, just do a death from above, and then after that, you know, Jericho, and then missile, and that's it. Right. So that is the gist of it, and yeah. So I'm heading to Curse right now. Hello, Curse. My old friend, Sentinel, huh? I hate this. Okay, once off, then just punch my way through. I have to be a little bit careful with all these things that are going on, because you know he is strong, but he's not that strong like She-Hulk and so on that I have in terms of the defense wise. But I mean, he's pretty alright. I mean, the kill time definitely is not that great. Maybe just need. Yeah, I got the medallion, huh? One of the better medallion we have in game. Okay, so that is the Cosmic Curse. Kill time is alright. I mean, not as fast as my Punisher. See my last video, but he's doing alright. He's a lot of fun, alright? Alright, the server is down, so but as the saying goes, the show must go on. In this part of the video, I'm going to talk about the Omega system, gear choices, as well as the some of the theory crafting behind the build that I use. Alright, so and I always come to this website called the marvelheroes.info. It has quite updated information, and I even suspected that it is an inside job from Gazillion. Maybe not, because everything looks so close to the game itself. So from an Omega perspective, I always prioritize generic damage, because my Iron Man is both energy and physical, range, and the melee as well. So let's start with nanotechnology, my favorite, 10 points on spin tech. It is something that I would you know, strongly suggest anybody may want to take this up. And if your Omega point is low, just pick a little bit there. Don't need to max it if you don't want to. I really wanted to experiment on this tree, but then you know I really don't need because my majority of damage comes from physical, and I don't feel paying that much to get this note. So yeah, I mean, at the end, I wanted to do this for Iron Man, but at the end, no, not for me. All right. So for those who would like to play the Cosmic Patrol, I strongly suggest you pick at least three points here and 6 points here for the health regen, as well as a little bit of health. So this one gives you health regen, this one gives you a little bit of health. And 3 and 6 is what I'm comfortable to afford at an 80% cost effectiveness. Anything more than that, because the more points you take, the more you have to invest. You know, it costs too much for me, so I'm a cheapskate. So I you know, this is what I'm comfortable in getting. I also have to make a decision somehow, somewhere, that because 80% of my damage comes from physical, I have to somehow use you know, this note as well, which is +5 strength. I know that since it is 80% on physical, I'm losing +1, so my +5 effectively is just +4. All right. It is unfortunate, but sometimes it is what it is, because I after, you can only pick that many generic notes, but after a while you have to make a decision to look after the main source of your damage, which for me is physical, right? So that is the reason why I picked this one. This one is more for a pawn dumper. You don't really need to, you know, pump up these guys here. But I mean, this one, you know, by the way, the physical, not only for melee as well, because it buffs the gadget side of it. If you want to play range gadget, not range energy, all right? Range beam. My Iron Man struggle with the crit quite a fair bit, so you know I need this one. Even with this one, I'm only about 46.5, 47% crit for physical crit. I wanted to hit it to 50%, but because I don't use some of his gears, it's getting a little bit difficult. I'm still working on my gear on the ring, as well as the maybe insignia. But I mean, it is my story. I mean, you know, it's good that there's still things to work towards. Nothing is here. 5 point and guild suppression, like all my other hero. The kind of like brutal strike is good. This one for melee is wonderful because it gives me the melee crit as well as the crit damage rating. Not a lot, but it's good enough to have just pick up a few points there. For physical energy, one option is to have 8 points here and 8 points there. all in all, it is somewhat like, because you have to take these two at the same time. So it is somewhat like a +2 to energy and +2 to strength, because that will give you the 8% base damage on the either damage type. Of course, without the cost reduction goodies. So just bear in mind what you really have here is just +2 energy and +2 strength. All right. Then you move on to this note. This is one of my favorite traits. There's a lot of goodies here. For hybrid hero, fighting is great. Usually I do a +9, but for Iron Man, I'm running out of things to put in, and sort of like for generic notes, so I put a 10 there. You put a 9 there. Then the Sabertooth is nice because it has health regen a little bit, not really a lot. If you look at the mathematics, everything adds up, of course, but it's not really a lot. Then I like the this day I like Blob. It take a penalty on the dodge, but Iron Man is not really a dodge hero. But the good thing about it is it replaces with the defense and health as well. So yeah, I mean and also for Blob, it doesn't escalate the cost. I think it's totally worth it to dump on the points there if you can afford. Last but not the least is Frenzy, because I do crit damage. I gain the crit damage rating. It's quite a high crit damage rating, by the way. Yeah. So that's Omega system. There's nothing else there that I talk about Omega system. So now let's look at gears. So for Iron Man, there's only one slot one, which in the old day I wasn't too happy because what can I do if I'm melee Iron Man? But I think you can say the same for the rest as obvious as well. So this one for melee has to replace, but by dropping this one, I lose the crit. So that is why my Iron Man is struggling a little bit on the crit side of it, because this is really nice on crit. And also I don't do Coolant Blast. So yeah, but I can imagine for energy beam player, then this is something that is really nice to have. But the for melee, it is great. No, hang on, the other one. This is great stuff for melee because it gives you the punch, the +8 ranks, the punch, life support system, as well as all the defense. You get +6, so you get plus quite a fair bit on the punch itself, and the punch itself hits really hard. Give you a nice kind of health regen and the physical damage as well. So these are although I only take 80% of it, but I take what we have, and this is a nice unique for the melee build. And then this one is more for the hybrid thingy going on. This one is also very nice because it has +2 to all power, and also buff the signature, then the passive toggle as well. And you have a chance to gain +2 strength and energy. So this is also a very strong unique if you are not into melee. All right, if you are into melee, you take the second one. Otherwise, you take this one regardless of what build you have other than melee. All right. Slot 3, it also have 2 for melee build. I will suggest this one because again it gives you the +4 to the defense system, which is the melee tree itself, as well as +2 strength. All right, the 80 spirit or 80 suit power will then convert into ×3, 240 damage rating. So that is great as well. So this is very nice for melee build. If you don't do melee, you can use the Tony Stark checkbook, and that is also very nice because the spirit side 111 spirit become 333 damage rating. All right, and it has a +1 to all power as well as the tech gadget. So yeah, I mean this is very nice for you, and it has the 50% chance to get crit again. I mean but it has a cooldown, of course. The boots is alright. Boots I have no complaint on that because the spirit itself also convert to damage rating, and I do have the tech gadget as well. Alright, so I have no complaint. But this one is the one that has to really rethink because I'll give you alternative a little bit later. I mean, this is quite a decent one if you're into energy beam build. But for the other two builds, especially for melee, you probably could have something better. But then you lose your crit as well. So I'm going to share with you my alternate gear for the slot 1. Slot 1, I really highly recommend Overseer's Mace. I'm fortunate enough to get it from the Green Raid. But you can craft it using about 3 weeks of in-game progress using hero commendation. You can get the recipe as well as enough mats to craft it. I think it's totally worth it because farming Alternatively, you can have Shocker as well. So this is the one that you could farm, and it has a very nice crit, and a flat damage as well. So this two is very nice, stack to have. The rest of it is not that fantastic, but they give you the +2 to all ranks as well. So this is also a very strong alternative to the slot one. It's just that sometimes farming Shocker, it just take a while, and you may just it's not as, I don't think it's as fun as farming Hero Commendation. All right. So yeah, craft this Overseer Mace. Why is it so great? Because it has a flat damage, has a crit damage rating pretty high as well, and and when you use melee power, you gain +3 strength. All right, +3 strength. Very nice, +3 strength. All right. Then it's the +2 to all power. Beautiful. Get a Mace if you are melee. All right. Very nice, very easy to craft. Then the other one is the slot 5 for Iron Man is basically okay. This one is not bad even for non beam kind of like build. Alternatively, you can go for Mask of Zorn. Now Mask of Zorn has flat damage rating to it, very nice. It has a crit as well, crit damage and health as well. So if you put the two side by side, so this one versus this one has a damage rating as well. So if you look at this one versus this one, it's by and large very similar if you don't take the energy beam. But the good thing about Mask of Zorn, which from Magneto by the way, has a +2 to all power instead of +1, so it buffs your melee as well. So I would think that this is a very nice alternative to your slot 5 Iron Man unique. Alternatively, again, is a Mask of Algrim, which is dropped from Curse. It doesn't have a very high flat damage. However, it has this spirit, which is the suit power. ×3 is 240 already, so that is already 240 damage rating, generic to any damage type. And it has a crit and a crit damage rating and a +2 power as well. So I would say net these two are very much similar. Is similar. I would probably prefer this one here, but I mean these two are very similar. All right, very similar. Right, and either one is fine. I think it's marginally better than the slot 5 unit just by looking at the +1 to all power that you have. But then +4 to the energy beam does buff your 1-off, although 1-off over time is not that great. It has a nice burst. Choice is yours. It won't be too hard not to. I mean, if you don't have the other two, that's fine. Slot 5 is fine for melee as well. All right. So I hope that round up all the gear that I want to talk about. I think in the game I show you the artifact I use. I think I use the Gem of the Curse, which is because I need to crit from there. I use a Ziggurat as well. I use Metasensory, and also I use the Kingpin artifact as well because I need the health component to it. It has a very nice flat damage and I need health as well. And in terms of team insignia, which I didn't have a chance to show you, I use a Spider-Man insignia because the Spider-Man works in a way that if you do melee, you get a range buff. If you do range, you get a melee buff. If 2 buffs are going, and I think you get another extra buff on something else. So it's beautiful for some hero like Iron Man, where it does the melee and the range at the same time, or very similar. All right. So now the last part of the video is really about how I come about my build. Feel free to stay on because it's quite mathematically heavy over there. I try to sum it up nicely for you guys. So basically, when you look at Iron Man, what I always do is that I look at the level 60 Iron Man, take out all the gear, reset Omega system, reset the synergy. Just look at from a pure game design perspective, what is being put in as a number per power itself. So Iron Man is very easy to model. It either has a cooldown power. Cooldown is like a reverse of damage over time. So instead of having like a payoff every half a second, you wait until the certain time and then you do another one again. So that to me is a reverse of damage over time. You can layer that on your rotation. All right. Then you have all these things that is like a spender. Spender are the one that you have to keep trading time with into damage. So you have to keep spamming the same key again and again so as to continue damage. The moment you don't spam it, you lose the damage. These usually have a high DPS, but when you layer it with other power, what you're effectively doing is actually you are reducing the effectiveness of this spender, because the animation comes in the picture as well. Animation costs you because you are trading time into damage. All right. Then the last one is the damage over time, like Jericho Bombardment as well. These are the very nice to lay on top because it has the vulnerability debuff. All right. So then after that, I decided to. The reason why I decided on the melee build is this, right? Because I'm looking at the rank 20 power with no gear, no Omega system, no synergy, and the Jack Thrust Punch come out to be the highest. I take into consideration of 40% against boss, highest DPS. Now that's not surprising because melee attacks always have the highest DPS anyway. It should be. All right. The next one is a range. That's from the gadget tree, and it has a condition to it: 20% against burn. So I assume that you always put a Jericho Bombardment anyway. So in terms of score, it is off by about 25% from the melee DPS. All right. And last but not least, the repulsor barrage, which I think it is right that is tuned a little bit lesser than the missile salvo, because missile salvo has a condition to it. This condition may or may not hold. Same as for this one. This condition may or may not hold if you are doing the normal mobs. All right. 3 toggle is very easy to have. I'm running at 4 toggles anyway. So whenever people ask me which single power has the highest DPS, I always tell them, it is a melee tree, and after that gadget tree, and after that is a beam tree. All right. But the beam come up to be quite nice as well. You see the gear, they are quite friendly to the beam as well. And the it depends on how you want to play, because range is a little bit more comfortable. You can maintain your rotation better rather than melee. You have to run around a little bit and so on. All right. So now so I have this end game build that I pick only the power that I have. I put all my gears in and see what's the actual damage and so on. Now, why am I doing this? It's because I want to have something like this. I want to know that what is my physical DPS versus energy, which is 80-20. What is my melee versus range, which is 63-37. So between Curse Medallion, which is melee, and the Grim Reaper, which is physical, I have to pick Grim Reaper because it has a better ratio there. So it is very important for hybrid hero to understand how much DPS you are actually getting from which damage type. So in the event whereby you have to make trade-off, with confidence that I'm going in with my eyes open, picking up this gear, knowing that I'm not gaining the energy side of it. All right. So very important to think about that. And how do I derive all these things is that I pick all the powers I have. So for instance, the one half has to be there. Death from above with the toggle, which is there, 8-second cooldown. I do a certain amount of damage. All right. Micro missile is something that I use. And the great thing about so death from above is actually about 1 second animation. So within the 8-second cooldown, 1 second is spent on doing the animation while you're not doing any single target spender. So this one has to take a animation penalty, because I have to make sure that this is being reduced based on the animation cost to it. So animation has a cost to it. And micro missile is very fortunate that it has a very, very little animation. I think it's very, very little. I time it myself. So I layer that as well. The DPS is not high, but because it doesn't take a lot of animation, so it's actually very good to have. You just have to do it every 3 seconds. So, and the missile control system is something that is a toggle that does it on its own. Of course, it's lowest DPS because you need not do anything, just turn the toggle on and it does the passive DPS. So compare this one and this one, of course it's not as high, because if you're doing nothing at all, you gain the DPS layer on top. So all this layer is very important. You have to understand what layer to what. All right. And at the also the Jericho Bombardment as well, when you do the DPS on both sides, because the Jericho and Bombardment has a different cooldown to it, so you have to look at the tooltip. But but if you want to go for a vulnerability debuff, you have to apply every 4 seconds instead of 6 seconds. All right, so no change to DPS. It's just that your spirit or power the suit power effectiveness go down as you do something like that. All right, and you can also see a little bit on the so-called the cost of everything that I have. Yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, Iron Man is very easy to play, just a couple of powers that I have, and you've seen the video, it's pretty effective as well. So that's the end of my Iron Man video, at least for the melee build. Any questions and so on, feel free to put down notes for me, and if you have further requests, let me know. I'll do my best, although my list is getting a little bit too long, a little bit long. I think I may do a ranged Iron Man. I don't know. You guys let me know if you want to see a ranged Iron Man. So till next time we see each other, goodbye.